Namaste, everyone. We are back in our session, and this is a special session because it is our 40th session, the last session of our summer camp 2021, being organized by Hindu Heritage Foundation of America. And I am Kavita Vachaknavi, your host, coordinator, and director of this summer program. So we have a very loving speaker in this session. She is very close to my heart, and I know her since her childhood. And what should I say? So you will listen to her and you will understand why I am passing these remarks about her. So she will be talking about sciences in Vedas and Vedic scientists. So she is, by profession, she is a medical professional. She is a surgeon, probably, Gargi, isn't it? Am I right?
Nephrologist. I'm a kidney specialist.
Okay. So I don't know much about all these things, medical science and everything. I only know very few of the fields which I am concerned to as a patient only. So, general health issue. So we welcome Gargi ji to our session, and I request everyone to put yourself on mute, to keep yourself, because I put you all on mute actually. So you keep yourself on mute unless you have to raise a question, you have to add anything to the speech, to the presentation, or if you have any concern. Okay, so welcome, Gargi ji.
Thank you.
Let me spotlight you. Yes, here is she. See the books behind her.
Oh yes, I am more than happy to show. So this is my department library. You can see a kidney back there, lots of books.
Yes, so welcome to our session. So
thank you.
You feel free to start with your presentation.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure you all can hear me okay. I'm using my earphones, so I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Again, I would like to say namaste. My name is Gargi Priamvada Sharma, and I am joining in from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It is so good to be here and being given this opportunity to discuss our fabulous history and heritage. Thank you so much for all to participate and being here. Happy Friday. I hope your day is going well. Today is the concluding day, so I feel a little special being the last person. And I also want to thank you that after a long day, you're all here to listen to me. I want this to be more of an interactive session, so please feel free to ask questions directly or in the chat, as and when I see something that I could answer, I would love to answer. And if I don't know, I will definitely look up to Acharya ji, or I will try to find the answer and get back to you whenever I can. So where are all of you coming from? A few people want to say where they are from. I see Pia Mehta, Vijay Verma on my screen. Vijay Verma ji, where are you from? Oh, I guess you're muted. So, but Pia Mehta, you're from Houston. Welcome. Saroj Gujral ji, I see you there. Welcome. And where are you coming from?
I'm from UK, London.
Oh, wow, UK, London. Welcome.
Yes,
Thank
I'm
you so
from
much
London.
for joining. It
Yes,
must be
yes.
quite a different time there.
Yes, Yes, I've known Kavita ji and Harish Chandra ji for a long time, and I
Oh,
keep
acha.
following them, their activities. So through them, I joined it. Yes.
Yeah, such a wonderful power
Yes.
couple to know and
Yeah.
follow.
Yes. 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 Thank you. Thank you.
Acha, great. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for being here today, all of you. So my topic today is I wanted to talk about the science in our history, in our culture, and what are some of the prominent figures in the field of science and knowledge that we've had. There are countless people, and by no means, we can know or talk about them all. But I picked a few from different fields, one of each that I could share with you all. Um, so I want to start off by asking, do you think Vedic knowledge is scientific? Anybody want to answer that question?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Ji,
Yes.
thank you. Pia, you think yes? So yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Vedic knowledge is a very scientific knowledge, and there is not a single word that you can find in the Vedas which would go against the law of Prakriti. Prakriti means nature and life. And some of the knowledge that's encoded in these Vedas is common knowledge to scientists today. There's a lot of concepts which are still in research phase, and there are some concepts that modern day science does not understand yet. But does that mean that that's not true? Well, we don't know. Just because we don't understand it today, we cannot explain it by evidence-based research today. It does not mean that it's not right or we can disregard it. And here I would like to also mention that there is no statement in these sacred scriptures which will contraindicate or contradict another statement in one of the scriptures. So as we know, there are four Veds: Rig Ved, Yajur Ved, Atharva Ved, and Sam Ved. And all of these have many, many thousands of verses. So you would think, well, there are so many thousands of verses written by four different rishis. There could be something that one says which the other one does not agree with. And that's not true. All these multiple thousands and thousands of verses, there are thousands and thousands of coded knowledge there is, they all will sync with each other. There is no contradictory statement, which is a proof of scientific knowledge, because science never disproves itself. And a lot of the information that's in there, so suppose you say, well, I want to know how to build a plane, so I'm going to open Rigved and look at some verses, and it'll tell me exactly what material I need, how much material I need, or what fuel I need to run this plane, and it'll tell me exactly whatever I need. But that's not true. The knowledge in there is in coded form, or is like a hypothesis or a structure, a backbone of the information that you need to work on further. And then many of our rishis and munis through the ages have tried to decipher one particular code and work on it and talk about it in their books. And some of those rishis and munis are what we are going to talk about in their works. So if Sushrut Samhita, for example, has been written by a certain person, whatever they've written there is by seed knowledge that they gathered and learned from Vedic literature, that they studied and spent decades on trying to understand and research. And then they put it in a book for the future generation so that they can understand what has been written. So going ahead, I will advise all of you to be very cautious of wrongful interpretation of the Vedas or any of the Vedic literature for that matter, because a lot of times things are twisted or their meaning is changed just to propagate their own interests and people's point of view. So finding the right interpretation of knowledge is very important. And all this Vedic literature, the Vedas, Brahman Granths, and other Shrutis, they cover a wide variety of topics: medicine, biology, chemistry, physics, geography, mathematics, architecture, engineering, politics, administration, jurisdiction. And all of this is there in our literature. So just imagine the sheer volume that is available for us to tap into and read and learn if we want to. So I'm very pumped and excited to talk about the little bit that I tried to find out and gather for today's discussions with y'all. So I want to share my screen, and let me see if I do it right. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, something happened. Give me 1 second. Let me try to figure out what I did wrong. Okay. Okay, I got it. I'm going to try that again. I hope it works this time. Okay, you see my screen?
Yes.
And okay, this is presenter view. No. I go back, I guess. I'm doing something wrong. Let me just do this. You're able to see it better. Okay. So talking about some of the Vedic scientists and personalities, and I included some of them here, but we have so many more to talk about. And then if we still have some time remaining, there are other topics that I did not include on the PowerPoint that would be a great point of discussion. So if we have time, we'll see, we can try to cover those as well. Okay, so like we spoke about the science in Vedas, there are there's so much knowledge in there, but it is all written in Sanskrit in the form of verses, and from there, different treatises, different books have picked up information and written about one specific topic: astronomy, physics, geography. So here in the center, you can see there is Rig Samhita, which is talking about what the speed of light should be. And if you see going down in the middle picture, let me get my laser pointer. Here it's talking about what 1 yojan is. And if 1 yojan is this much, how much 2000 yojans would be? And if 2000 yojans is this much, dividing it by whatever calculations they are deriving from this sutra up there, they are coming up to the speed of light as 185,000 miles a second. And modern value calculates it as 186 miles a second. That's pretty close and pretty cool, right? And we know for sure that these texts have been written centuries, and maybe thousands of years early. Modern day science figured out the speed of light not too long ago. So this makes me so proud of my culture and my heritage, and this makes me want to know more. So going forward, we'll talk about Maharshi Panini first. So Maharshi Panini was a big Muni and a knowledgeable person in the field of language. So he developed the study of structure of language, how Sanskrit language needs to be learned. And he is considered one of the greatest Sanskrit scholars. And he wrote the Sanskrit grammar, which has a set of rules. So it's called the Ashtadhyayi, and it has, Ashtadhyayi means it has 8 chapters. And each chapter then has a set of rules in it. And those rules describe how grammar is formed and how Sanskrit is formed and should be done. And the way he has written it is still followed today. The way Sanskrit is taught in Gurukul system today is through Ashtadhyayi. But that is not the only thing that Maharshi Panini had worked on. He had also worked on a lot of mathematical work. Like he had found out the different types of sequence of numbers, and he had worked on the classes of vowels, and another grammar concept called sandhi, where you join two words together. So how you're supposed to do it, all that is things that Maharshi Panini has worked on. Next is Chanakya. A lot of us may have seen the television CDs on Chanakya. Anybody know about him? Anybody would like to say something about him? So I remember on DD1 long time used show on Chanakya and Chandragupta Maurya. So for the unaware, Chandragupta Maurya was a great ruler of the Indian Empire many years ago, many centuries ago. But he was not the first choice to be king. In fact, he was not even from a royal backgrounds. So Maurya comes from the word Mayur, which means peacock. So his family were people who used to breed peacocks. That's how he got his name Maurya. And Chanakya was a great teacher and a great philosopher who taught Chandragupta Maurya. So Chanakya was his guru, and he helped him learn everything that he had to become a good administrator and become a good king. And Chandragupta Maurya is regarded as one of the greatest kings of Indian history. So Chanakya did so much, and there's so much I can tell you about him, but he is best known for, I mentioned one here, but he's best known for two books that he wrote. One is Arthashastra, and the other one is Chanakya Niti. So Arthashastra is a book about politics and administration, about how economy of a country under an empire or under a king should run. And many of the concepts that Chanakya has discussed in Arthashastra are still relevant in today's society and today's economics and political science. A lot of people who have worked in economics since his time until now have always considered him the pioneer and have used his works to develop their own strategies and works. And the other book he wrote was Chanakya Niti, where he has talked about many different life morals of how you should lead life, how you should behave, how you should behave in a society or work in a society with yourself and with others. And that is an excellent book to learn and grow from. So these two books are a great part of history, which are still available these days if you want to find. I in fact have an e-copy of Chanakya Niti here, but when I was in India, I was growing up, we had this really old tattered book of Chanakya Niti that I used to be very proud of, that, oh yes, I have this book at home. I don't understand a lot of what is written here, but I will one day understand. Okay, so moving on from an administrator to yoga. So Maharshi Patanjali, another great sage of our ancient times, he is the author of many Sanskrit texts related to yoga, Yoga Sutra, and he is considered the father of modern yoga. So the Ashtanga Yoga that has been written has been described by Maharshi Patanjali. And his teachings are even practical today and applicable today. These days, yoga is a worldwide phenomenon. In fact, we even have an International Yoga Day. More and more people are becoming aware of the benefits that you get from yoga, not just physical benefits, but also mental and spiritual health is improved by practicing yoga. So he was a great yogi and such a knowledgeable sage that not only was he an exponent and an expert in yoga, but he also was in grammar. So after Maharshi Panini wrote Ashtadhyayi, he wrote Mahabhashya, which was a commentary on Sanskrit grammar. Okay, from him, we come to my favorite topic of medicine. So Maharshi Shushruta. Excuse me. So Maharshi Shushruta or Shushruta is regarded as the father of Indian surgery. He was a great physician and a surgeon, And we know from all his texts that he has written that he had thought of some very highly special surgical techniques, which modern science is still trying to figure out now. For example, brain surgery, drilling a hole into your skull when somebody has a brain bleed and evacuating from the blood from there. There is a very famous picture of Shushruta operating on a patient with multiple people holding the patient, where they're trying to describe the burr-hole surgery for the brain. Brain surgery these days is, yes, common, but even a few decades ago was something that people were still trying to understand and develop as a surgical technique. So he has written many books on medicine, but one of the greatest ones that is very commonly known and is famous is Sushrut Samhita. And this is part of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the Indian system of medicine. And, like it is mentioned here, there are two other very important books in the Ayurvedic section, which is Charak Samhita and Ashtang Hridaya. And so Sushrut Samhita has many chapters, talks about many different illnesses, treatments of these illnesses, many different medicinal plants with therapeutic uses. How do you prepare these medicines? If plant is not a source of a medicine, do you have any animal sources of medicine? How do you procure those? How do you give it to the patients? All this fantastic knowledge is part of Sushrut Samhita. So if you think of it, of how Sushruta was practicing all this medicine and surgical techniques so many centuries ago, you would think that our medicine and surgery was way more advanced than any other ancient civilization, be it Aztec civilization, Mesopotamia civilization, Chinese civilization, or any others. We were pretty advanced at that point. Talking about an astronomer now, switching gears from medicine, is Maharshi Baraha Mihir. So he also was a great astronomer and mathematician. The book that he is mainly known for is called Brihat Samhita. And Brihat Samhita talks a lot about astronomy, movement of stars, constellations. It even talks about the distance from the earth to the sun, which modern science, I can tell you, did not know until much recently. A modern world has now known in the 19th and the 20th century, but he described it almost close to the decimal point in his works. And his other contribution was Pancha Siddhantika, where he's talking about 5 principles. Panch Siddhant means principles. So he had written 5 different books, small books on this, and then he compiled it together as one big treatise called Pancha Siddhantika. So he talks about Surya Siddhant, Vashishta Siddhant, Paulista Siddhant, Romak Siddhant, and Paitahama Siddhant. And not only was he interested in mathematics and astronomy, but he also had some contributions in laws of reflections and optic laws in physics. Sorry, don't worry, I'm coughing. Last but not the least, Aryabhata. This is somebody that a lot of us may have heard about. He is one of the exponents of mathematics in Indian history. He is considered the father of Indian mathematics, and the work that he wrote was called Aryabhatiya, in which he talks about astronomy and mathematics. And the mathematics section is not just limited to one component, but he talks about geometry, trigonometry, algebra, arithmetics, quadratic equations, and so much more. So to think of it that he was so smart and being able to do so many hypotheses much before our modern scientists could do. So I'm sure all of us are aware of the Pythagoras theorem about the triangles. So we give the credit to Pythagoras for figuring out what the Pythagoras theorem is supposed to be. But his work, Aryabhatiya, in there is mention of Pythagoras theorem in a verse where it clearly describes what Pythagoras theorem in modern times means. So Pythagoras theorem was not new to India. They knew what it was, and they had already documented it in their works. So, a lot of people sometimes ask the question that, well, if all of this was already there in India and was so well documented, why doesn't India come forward? Why wasn't it available to the rest of the world? Why is it so popular? Why do we know Pythagoras theorem as Pythagoras theorem instead of Aryabhata's theorem? And why do you think so? Anybody want to say? There may not be a right or wrong answer. I just want to get your views. Anybody have any idea? I don't know. I honestly don't know why. Vijay Varma ji, and do you want to say something?
I think it's because India really didn't go for further. I know the modern scientists or what, they didn't go deeper into it. That's why probably. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's why.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe our own scientists
Yeah.
did not pay enough attention or did not give enough credit to their own history and their
Yeah.
own culture to to find resources and sources of knowledge here versus depend on Western knowledge, Western scientists to find something.
Like
Anybody else?
I'm a person from literature, English literature, and I see it's so sad that our Indian literary works have not been universalized and all that. So sad. It's just everywhere you're talking about Shakespeare, everybody knows. But when you
Yeah,
talk about Munshi Premchand, hardly anybody knows.
yeah, nobody
So
knows.
sad.
Yeah, yeah. And in fact, if you read Munshi Premchand's novels,
Yeah.
they are just not stories. They are
Special
so
messages.
socially apt, and they have
Oh yeah.
such important messages for everybody's life. It's just sad. And yeah, it could be possible that we Indians ourselves did not give enough respect and adoration that our Indian history
Yeah.
was credited for. Anybody else have anything to say?
I think we need people more like you who are coming and imparting your knowledge to others.
I think we need more people like Kavita Vachaknavi ji to guide all of us.
Yeah, yeah, sure, yes.
No, and I think Gargi ji, this is Rajni Chaudhary. I'm from New York.
Namaste.
Namaste. So namaste Kavita ji. आपको पहली बार देख रही हूँ. Namaste. So our history is actually, I don't want to use that word, but for past 1,000 years, right, we have been ruled, right, by Mughals and Britishers, right?
Ah,
So the Gupta dynasty, that was the period, right, where India was called the Golden Bird, right?
Mhm.
So whatever we are studying right now, it's before, that time period. But after that, I think society in general was under a lot of unrest because of invasions, foreign invasions, from Mughals and Britishers, Portuguese and whatnot, right? But even before that, right? I mean, I remember I come from a region, I come from near Patliputra or Bodh Gaya side, where we have the first Ivy League school of India was in Nalanda. Nalanda
Yeah.
one, right?
Right.
So Aryabhat, they all belong to that region, right? So all of that was demolished and destroyed, right, and whatnot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so this was one of the reasons, whatever the reason, maybe we were not united or whatever, but that is what we have been facing for past 1,000 years, and it needs to be the prime time, big time, it needs to be revived, and India needs to be recognized all over the world.
Gee, I agree. You were spot on. And, I wanted to bring this up and say that is true. We had such big universities in India, Nalanda, Takshashila, and so many more.
Yeah.
And with all the unrest, like you said, that was going on, and invaders coming to rule our country, a
Mhm.
lot of culture, a lot of history,
Yeah.
a lot of texts have been lost. I remember somebody had told me, and this may not be right, that Nalanda University's library had several lakhs, several hundred thousands of books in there. And when it was burnt, because it
7 months.
wanted to be destroyed. Ji, Kavita ji?
7 months it was burning. For
Yes,
7 months.
yeah. It burned for 7 months. So just think, for fire to fuel for 7, sheer volume of knowledge that was just lost. Like, just to think of it boils my blood now. I can't imagine the rishis and the munis who were living in those times. How did they even survive seeing this knowledge just dying in front of them? So yeah, I do think that a lot has been lost just because it was purposely destroyed. And then when we are living as colonies and slaves of others, and being ruled by invaders, you're not given an opportunity to learn your own knowledge as much as you are streamlined into the knowledge that's been thrown at you. There was this German scholar,
Max.
Max Mueller.
Max Mueller, yeah.
Yeah, so he was commissioned to come to India and study and translate the Indian texts and Vedic literature. He learned a lot out of them. Who knows how much he has actually translated right or not wrong? I'm not going to get into any controversies here, but he used to regularly write letters to his bosses, to Macaulay, and he had Macaulay. And what he had written was, the best way to destroy a country's culture is by destroying their education and their history. Because they, Macaulay and Max Mueller, all these people were just so worried that, well, these Indians are so strong that we are not able to destroy their culture, their history. How do we change these people from their thoughts and the beliefs and the religion that they follow? And then that's why, in fact, Max Mueller and Macaulay were commissioned, and they came up with this idea, well, change the education system, change the what we want to teach them, do not show their own literature in good light. So they will not, when something is not presented in good light, you first have dislike towards it, and then you ultimately have disrespect, and then over generations that knowledge is lost because nobody wants to learn it. So while the Mughals and all the Turkish and Arab invaders and then the British were busy destroying our culture and our texts, not many people were keeping up and trying to learn. So whatever knowledge was then passed on was from recitation in Gurukuls. I will memorize this, I will understand this, and I will pass it on to you, and you pass it on to others. So this is how whatever knowledge we have available now, this is how it was all kept alive, or we would have lost much more than this. One of the volumes of text is called Upanishads, and it is said that there were about 110 Upanishads at one point of time. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kavita ji. But now there are only 11. We only have 11 documented and written down with us. So we have lost the rest of it. And just these 11 Upanishads have so much knowledge in them, so much history, historical events documented in them. So imagine how many how much more we would have known about our own history had we had the rest of the 90 or 90 odd Upanishad volumes available. Any other thoughts anybody else had? Let's stop sharing my screen. So if we have a few more minutes, I wanted to talk about the Panchang from astronomy. A lot of you may be familiar, but does anybody know what a Panchang is?
Gargi, we have plenty of time. Don't worry about the time.
Okay. Okay.
You have an hour and 15 minutes in total.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Then I do have a few more things to talk about. So let's see. Let's start with Panchang. Anybody know what Panchang is, or would like to share their thoughts on what they understand what Panchang is?
I don't know exactly, but this is just my guess from what I've heard. I think Panchang is a sort of like calendar or something of the stars, like a constellation calendar, I think.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct, Pia. Panchang is the Indian calendar. It has been created on the basis of scientific and astronomical data and information. So it not only has takes into account solar events, but also lunar events. So the lunar events are based on the full moon, waxing and waning, no moon, and then coming back. And the solar events are dependent on the Earth's complete revolution around the sun. So Panchang, Panch means 5 and Ang means arms. So Panchang has 5 arms. Excuse me, I apologize. So the 5 arms of the Panchang are, first one is Var, which means day of the week. The second is Tithi. Tithi is what is the lunar day of the month. And then next is Nakshatra. Nakshatra is the position in relation to a specific constellation in space. Because as you know, the Earth is revolving around the sun. So it's traveling in space. So based on at what point of the year, in which area of space it is, you are able to see some certain kind of star constellation. So the whole revolution is divided into nakshatras based on where the Earth's position is. So that is the third one. Then the fourth one is called Yog. Yog is what is the relationship between the sun and the moon in respect to Earth. So not only are you counting how the moon is going around the Earth, how the Earth is going around the sun, but what are the sun and the moon doing as well. And the fifth one is called Karna. Karna is also a time period. I think it is half of a day or half of a tithi. I think it's half of a tithi. It's a certain time period of one day. So these are the 5 angs of Panchang. And so anytime you open a Panchang, it will talk about all these things. So we have a total of 12 lunar months and 12 solar months. But remember, lunar months are 28 days because it takes 28 days for the moon to do one complete spin around the Earth. But if you take 28 days, then at the end of the year, you have some extra time remaining. So although we say there are 12 months, there are actually totally 13 lunar months. And there are 12 solar months. So our modern day English calendar, it's called the Gregorian calendar, has just 12 months. That's all it says. But if you open a Panchang will have lunar months and it will have solar months as well. And this is the most accurate way of trying to adjust the gap between the solar year and the lunar year, because the lunar month has this one, not full, but a partial 13th month, which is called the Adi Mas, which helps to get the lunar and the solar months together total for the whole year. So it's very interesting of how they were able to think about what the constellations are, how long it's taking the earth to go around, specifically calculating the day and the time so accurately to that even to this day our modern day Gregorian calendar does not get it right. Yes, now we add that extra day in February for every 4 years, but so many centuries ago Panchang was able to do that by adding this extra month at the end of the whole year. So, and I'm sure all of us are aware about the lunar months, and these lunar months are what we refer to when we talk about the Hindi months like Chaitra, Vesak, Jesht, Asar, Shravan, Kartik, Falgun, Magh, etc. These are all lunar months, and the solar months are different, and they come by different months. So although these are in Panchang, these are not regularly used in common conversations and knowledge, but there are separate 12 months also in the Panchang. And similarly, while we're talking about geography and Panchang and years of the year, even seasons, 6 seasons are described in Yajurved. And the 6 seasons that are described in Yajurved are Grishma, which is summer, Varsha, which is the rainy or the monsoon season. Then you have Sharad Ritu, which is the autumn. And then you have Hemant Ritu, which is, which according to America, we would call between autumn and winter. And then Shishir is the actual winter season. And last but not the least, we have Vasant Ritu, which is the spring season. So Yajurved, written lakhs of years ago, is describing these six seasons and what happens in these 6 seasons. And it's interesting the way it is described, because it's not just talking about the seasons, but it's talking about like what is the behavioral pattern and migration pattern of birds in these 6 seasons. That's how the mention of the seasons in the Yajurved is. So scientists and our Rishi Munis at that time were already looking at birds and seeing their migration during different times of the year, what they do, what their behavioral patterns is. Similarly, in Ayurveda, based on what season and what month it is, they describe what is the best food to eat at that time, or what sort of foods you should avoid at that time. Just for an example, I would give like bajra with urad dal is common and frequently used. Is at least in North India, in UP, where my family is from. They eat this combination a lot: bajre ki roti with urad dal and ghee and gur. So this combination, we would think, well, it's just a combination that has come up, but no, this culinary art has scientific knowledge behind it, and this is usually eaten during the winter season. And if anybody has more knowledge about it, please correct me. This is from what my dadi has told me a long time ago. So bajra is very heavy protein, and so is urad ki dal, and so you need a lot of energy to burn and digest this food that goes inside. Now, to need energy, you're eating food. So you would say, well, we are eating food to get energy, and you're saying, well, we need to spend energy to digest the food. That's why you're eating gur. Gur is jaggery. Jaggery is pure sugar. So bajra is eaten with urad dal and with gur, because the gur is the one which gets instantly absorbed, gives the energy to digest this heavy protein of bajra and urad dal. And why do you need to digest this heavy protein? Because this combination is eaten during winter. Digesting that protein gives you more energy, and it produces a lot of heat. Digestion of these proteins, and that heat helps to keep you warm. So it seems so simple, but it has such scientific knowledge behind it. Excuse me. Anybody know of any modern day scientists from India who have done a lot of work in physics or literature or something else that you all know and want to talk about?
I would like to, so namaste everybody, I'm Maitri Sharma. I'm from Illinois and I'm also Gargi's younger sister. A great discussion, great talk. So one of the people who I know about from the recent times, well, from the 1300s is Mahadeva. He was an Indian mathematician, and technically he is the man who invented calculus. So the reason I say that is because he was there in the 1300s, which is 300 to 400 years before Newton and Leibniz, and these are the people who are credited for developing calculus. But Mahadeva was present like 300 to 400 years before them, and he worked on solving differential equations. And also in mathematics we have a lot of work that is even currently being done on infinite series, on prime number convergence and things like that. And he is one of the mathematicians who worked on all of these topics in mathematics. And recently, I'm not sure if it is very recent, at IISc, there's also been a lecture series that was organized for Indian mathematicians, and he was one of the people that they have covered. So if you're interested, you should just look it up. I'm not sure what the lecture series was called, but if you just look up IISc lecture series for Indian mathematicians, he will definitely come up. And the other thing that that is very interesting and that many of us may not know about is, I'm sure everybody has heard about Ramanujan. And after the movie came out, I think everybody has watched the movie, and whoever did not know about him have gotten to know about him as well. So he worked a lot on number theory, number series, infinite series, looking at how when you add different kinds of numbers, how for an infinite number of times, how the series is going to converge, what kind of mathematical expressions you get. But the very interesting thing to know about him is when he was still in India, a lot of the studying that he did was using indigenous material. So he didn't really look at material that was being taught at Oxford or in other universities in US. He used the literature that was available in India from old Indian mathematicians, and he used that to build his work on infinite series. So this is a really interesting fact that I've known for some time now, and I wanted to share about that.
Thank you so much, Maitri. That was some great information. Even I didn't know some of it. Thank you for sharing that with us. So the reason I was asking this question is, but before that, anybody else know of any modern Indian day scientists?
Shakuntala Devi.
Yes, great.
Dr. Bhabha was one of them.
Yeah, Homi Bhabha was one of them, our atomic physicist, and Shakuntala Devi also. Yeah, great. Anybody have any other ideas? ABJ Abdul Kalam ji, our ex-president of India, now deceased. He was a great scientist also, and he has several times in his lecture talked about how great our scriptures were and the knowledge that is available, which is yet untapped.
Dr. Jagdish Chandra Bose.
Dr. J.C. Bose, yes. We're coming up with so many names.
And I think Vandana Shiva, but I don't know, she's currently very much environmental.
I don't know whether we can call her scientist, but she's doctor, I think.
That's great.
Dr. Vandana Shiva, right? She's an
Mhm.
environmentalist.
Environmentalist.
Climate.
She's fabulous.
Yeah, she's
So
really
then,
fabulous.
there are thousand and thousand in the modern times.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
so
list
many.
them.
Yeah, that's great. That's so good. So
Doctor.
these are,
Okay, carry on.
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But yes, there are so many scientists these days who are now, even Indian scientists, like my sister Maitri was mentioning, at Indian Institute of Science, IISC, which is in Bangalore, India. Bangalore is a city in the southern part of the country. And at IISC are beginning to acknowledge and recognize that there is a lot of untapped knowledge that is available, which people need to talk about and know. And the IITs, I think IIT Bombay and Kharagpur have come up with a mission that they are going to try to digitalize as much as possible the Vedic literature that's available. So at least, you know, it hopefully it won't be lost. Digitalization means that we can preserve it for a really long time going forward. So there is this scientist called Zach Jansen. So he has been credited with being the inventor of a microscope. Nyaya Darshan is one of the 6 darshans written in Vedic literature. So Nyaya Darshan was written by Rishi Gautam. You know, I think it was Rishi Gautam. So he says, and I'll just read the English translation of his verse, where he says, "That which cannot be perceived with naked eye can be perceived with the help of instruments made of glass, mica, or crystal." That, I think, is pretty straightforward, saying that, hey, we know, or we had some sort of system or understanding of how to look at things microscopic, and we knew what a microscope was. It may not have been the same kind that maybe Jansen found. And even through the centuries, from 1500s when Jansen discovered this until now, the microscope has obviously evolved into something much greater. But the science of understanding that there are microscopic things, non-living and living, available and can be seen, not through our naked eye but through some special instruments, I think is pretty neat and pretty cool. So we know Newton's laws of motions, right? Anybody know how many laws Newton described? Newton described 3 laws of motion, which everybody knows and learns in school. That's one of the first chapters in physics that you learn in middle school and high school. But Vaisheshik Darshan, another one of the 6 darshans that we have, it explains the cause and effect as well as friction. So those are 2 of Newton's laws, that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Something similar to that has been described in Vaisheshik Darshan. Similarly, about Newton's second law, about first and second, actually, about describing friction has been described in Vaisheshik Darshan too, which I think is very inspiring and great. We didn't get to talk much about like chemistry and was performed, but if even from like the Gupta period or the Maurya period, and Ashoka Sanchi Stupa and all these Sanchi Stupa and the Vijayastambha, etc. We even just few centuries old, we are seeing all these different structures made of metal, which have stood through the test of time, through invasions, through changes in nature, and erosion, corrosion, everything, but still standing strong today in India. So many of our monuments, which do not show any sign of, you can say, decay or not doing well or breaking down. So it says that even just a few thousand years ago and a few 100 years ago, metallurgy was very strong. People knew how to mix chemicals, make alloys with copper, lead, brass, zinc, iron, to make rust-free pillars, and make so many other different kind of monuments, which are standing still today, which is great. So there's a Ras Ratna Samuchai. This is a chemistry treatise, and it describes exactly what sort of apparatus you need for distillation of different chemicals and acids. And it is the apparatus itself is called a Triyak Patna Yantra, which is and it describes exactly how the distillation process looks and how do you do it and what the apparatus is for it. So even in ancient times, they knew, well, if we need this certain kind of chemical or this acid, or we have to segregate two chemicals or liquids mixed together, how do we we do distillation. And a lot of us may know, but I wanted to share with others too, about the Wright brothers. Anybody know who Wright brothers is? Okay, anybody
They
want to tell us?
invented like the first plane.
Yeah, that's right. They're credited for it. But do you really think they invented, do you think they did the first plane? They made the first plane?
Not
If I'm
really.
asking this, if I'm asking this question, there has to be a reason. Yes, that's true. So although Wright brothers in 1906 were able to fly an unmanned plane and show that yes, this this is the structure of plane and this is a vehicle which can fly in air, our scientists and our Vedic knowledge long ago had described that. So in Rig Veda, there are certain shloks which are describing about how ships are made and how planes are made and what alloy you need to make the plane with and what fuel you need to use. And it's saying that the mechanism of airplanes is that it is a fast moving mechanized horses which is moved by a kindling fire. So it's the fire, it's referring to the fuel that's used to run this plane. So it's described so Rig Veda is even describing what how these planes are made and what is used to read them. But Europeans, will not credit that information because they say, well, that's too old. We don't know how this was interpreted, how it was translated, whether this is right or wrong. But there was this one man. His name, I'm forgetting right now his first name, but his last name was Mr. Talpade. And Mr. Talpade had used some of
Vishnu Talpade.
That's right. Yes, thank you. So he had done this much before Wright brothers had done. So he around I think 1870s, 1880s, he read this old manuscript called Viman Shastra, which was written by Rishi Bharadwaj. And using the knowledge that was described in Viman Shastra by Rishi Bharadwaj, he made a plane. And in Mumbai, in I think Juhu Beach or something, he flew the plane in front of then
Chapati, yes, Chapati.
Yeah, Juhu Chapati. And he flew the plane in front of these colonial Britishers, and they had seen it. And in fact, nobody gave him the credit at that time. But they took the plane, they said, well, we'll study this more and develop this and see we can develop the science into something bigger. They took the plane, maybe the plane was given back to him. I can't remember what happened. Unfortunately, the plane was sold by his family once he passed away. And then after that, nobody followed up, and that information was lost right there. So we know, then this is documented because this was during colonial India, British time, that he flew this plane at Juhi Chapati in 1876. So, like this, if you and I were to sit and talk, we can talk about so many more things that Vedic literature has and can teach us, and how we can learn new things. But this was just a very small glimpse or a bird's eye view into many different areas of knowledge of science that's available in the Vedas. I am a staunch believer that Vedic literature is scientific knowledge. We may not understand it today, but I do not discredit it. I have the faith that either one day we will learn to understand what's explained here, because we'll be able to explain it with research, or we will be able to explain it with research that what is mentioned has been mentioned wrong. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all enjoyed the discussion as much as I did. Happy to take any comments or any other questions if you all have.
Thank you very much, dear Gargi. It was so nice. And I would like to add one more thing to it for all our participants. If you want to know further and in detail and with facts and everything, please search for Dr. Satyaprakash. Dr. Satyaprakash, who turned out a monk, he took sannyas in his later age. He was head of the chemistry department in Allahabad University in 60s, 50s. And he has wrote so many books. Few of his books, if I remember right, are Coinage in Ancient India, Sciences in Ancient India, Scientists in Ancient India, and many more on this pattern. So it will be very interesting to study further and find the facts about India and its great history and scientists. So you will be really amazed to know about all that. And this was a glimpse of all that. And I believe, I hope, I know you all enjoyed that, isn't it?
I certainly did.
We all did. So thank you so much, Gargiji. If anyone has to say something, or if
Thank
you
you,
have
Gargi. I just turned on because I was busy. I just turned on a few minutes back, but I really enjoyed. I wish I could have joined you earlier. Thank you so much, Kavita ji, for getting the cream. I don't know from where discovering all this cream, Thank you so much for your efforts.
They are our family, Indraji, all these people who were addressing all the 40 sessions were actually of a lot of kind of family members for us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
The whole session is available on our Facebook page.
Facebook page? Okay, send me the link, Kavita ji, if you don't mind, please, okay?
Okay, so all the lectures, except one session about art by Anjali Nandaji, that is missing due to some technical glitch, but otherwise all the sessions are available on the Hindu Heritage Foundation of America's page.
Please send me the link, okay?
So I think we are now ready to wrap it up now, and especially because this is our last session, last day of this summer program, and I would like to add few sentences to it. There's you all will definitely agree with me that we had a well-packaged learning experience over the 2 weeks, a galaxy of learned speakers from North America and India too. I thank every one of them. They spent several hours in preparation. Those from India had a bit inconvenient hours. The audience were equally very special, young and not so young too, like our dear Pia, Pia Mehta. I will recommend a special prize for Pia. Pia, be ready for the surprise, okay? And I must thank Hindu Heritage Foundation of America. We will love to hear from you, comments or whatever. For me, it was a very enriching experience. I enjoyed so much. I look forward to seeing you and the speakers not too far in the future. As you can see,
Hindu heritage.
Gargi being a medical professional, she spent a lot of time preparing all those slides. And Gargi, let me bring you to the spotlight. Yes. So I am very proud of you, and I would love everyone to say at least a little thank you, not by typing only, but by unmuting yourself. A thank you to Hindu Heritage Foundation of America and to Gargi also. And she has a little girl. You cannot imagine how much effort this all take being a medical professional.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me and giving me this opportunity to talk. I will say I had a lot of help in trying to get all this organized.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gargiji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all for joining and being such great listeners and active participants.
Gargi, let us recite Shanti Part. Will you?
Yes, I can do it.
Okay, please.
Oh, Dhyau Shanti Antariksham Shanti Prithvi Shanti Rapah Shanti Roshadayah Shanti Vanaspatayah Shantir Vishve Deva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvam Shanti Shantirev Shanti Sama Shantiredhi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sabko namaste.
Sabko namaste. Dhanyawad.
Thank you. Stay safe and take care of yourself.
Namaste. धन्यवाद
Namaste.
सबका
Thank you
बहुत
so much, everybody.
धन्यवाद
बहुत सुंदर रहा.
Namaste. Bye.
Bye bye. Have a nice weekend, everyone.